Good morning, everyone. Am I audible to everyone there? Okay, great. So interesting topic here, Internet of Things. Okay. So in last 6 months particularly, I have seen people talking about Internet of Things a lot. Even some of my clients, like at leadership roles, they are figuring out ways to foray into traditional analytics to Internet of Things. Now, it may not be very apparent in the beginning how these two are related. Some of you may already know. But before I start with this topic, I would like to know what is your current understanding of Internet of Things? Anyone?
Different devices that can be connected.
Okay.
It can be a simple day-to-day usage of items like the refrigerator or the door of the house.
Right.
Devices talking to each other and interacting.
Okay. All right. Anyone else? Anything which is different than what they have mentioned? They have aptly said that Internet of Things is a basically concept where devices are talking to each other. But any other example or anything? Okay. So yes, Internet of Things indeed is a concept where devices are talking to each other against our current internet where it is used by people to communicate with each other. But one thing I would like to add to what they have said, it's not just devices talking to each other, devices to devices, human to devices, devices to human. It's like if we see Internet of Things in future, it is like a intelligent skin on our planet where we have billions of devices talking to each other. So if we go by traditional definition of the same, so enabling new forms of communication between people and things and between things themselves. Any examples you might want to share from current world? Internet of Things is present in current scenario as well. Any examples you see around yourself? Security camera talking to my phone, yes. Any other example?
Car senses.
Car senses, yes, a brilliant one.
My easier probably alternatively running mobile.
Yeah, okay. I'll give some quick examples. We'll talk about it in more detail. You might have heard about this thermostat company Nest. What do they do? Sorry? Google bought it. So Nest is a company which makes thermostats which talks to the internet, and based on the ambient conditions outside, weather conditions, forecast, it automatically controls and adjusts your temperature and energy consumption within the house. A real-time example. Of course, it's in a micro form right now because it's not connected to wide array of devices which actually Internet of Things talks about. Other example would be a simple one. We don't think of it from this point of view. 1 year, 2 years back, how we used to book our cabs? Call, waiting time. Then the person who is taking the call used to see, okay, where are the cabs available, logistic, another 2-3 minutes waiting time. Now my app is talking to the Uber's app. Automatically it figures out the nearest, appoints the driver, everything is done with minimum human intervention. Even the location to the destination can be fed without human intervention. Everything can be done in automated. Another example of Internet of Things. So I'll bring up some examples, but when I say about Internet of Things, it's not something which has come up very recently. The concept was brewing somewhere in some manner in isolations. But with the technology, with the empowerment of big data, this is now coming to a stage where it will impact our life in various spheres. So let's see a bit of history. Some of you might be amazed that someone thought about Internet of Things in 1926. Nikola Tesla. Do you know about this guy? who gave us the theory in electromagnetism, right? Many of the electrical devices, advanced engineering things we see is credited to this guy. Unfortunately, not as well as known as Einstein, but he was someone who was equally brilliant and has great contributions. He envisioned a world where wireless is applied perfectly across different devices, electrical, electronic equipments, and whole earth will be converted into a huge brain. Actions being taken automatically with some intelligent triggers based on some ambient conditions. Devices operating with interpolability. In 1990, first connected devices were connected a toaster and drink machine. Did anyone hear about this before? Any idea what it could have done at that time? Simple thing, when my toast is about to pop up, it will dispense the drink. A simple thing, right? What it is doing, making our life easier. So MIT Auto ID Center today has 5 different centers across the world in some of the most advanced universities. This was the first time someone gave a term IoT, Internet of Things. And this center is in fact one of the most advanced centers in the world doing research on this topic and coming with some breakthroughs. Then I actually remember this thing. Around 2000, LG came up with a plan where an internet connected refrigerator. My refrigerator can talk to my phone, send the signals that okay, what are the things which needs to be bought, what are the things we are getting out of stock. That's it. What was the objective at that point of time? Simplifying our life, making it easy. Of course, we will see in current time it is going much beyond just simplification. It goes into the healthcare systems, security of my automotives, accidents, a lot more. But nothing comes overnight, as I said. There is a history behind it. When internet came into existence, the network came into existence, it was for scientists, pretty much till 1995. Then there was in late 90s, some geeks, some technocrats started experimenting and using internet. Then it became available to us in form of a communication medium for masses. Then it transformed to, of course, into a lot of other things like e-commerce, mobile internet. I think most of you guys would agree with me. If you see the amount of time you spent on PC searching the things has gone down since we have got access to good smartphones. Google right now earns 50 billion revenue from AdWords. I think this number is actually 1 or 2 years old now. They earn more than that from just AdWords, but they're expecting that in times to come, their revenue will drop by 70% because people are rapidly moving from normal internet to smart devices internet. They will not be able to show 10 ads on devices, they will be able to show 3 ads, impacting their revenue by 70%. They are ready for that future. What we are talking now is Internet of Things beyond 2012. Any technology when it comes into existence has main 3 phases. Introduction, a steep growth curve, and maturity. Right? Irrespective of Internet of Things or even ERP 40 years back, everything pretty much follows same cycle. What do you think, where is Internet of Things lying right now? Introduction. Broadly, yes, introduction. But let's have a quick look from some key industries point of view. There are some industries which might be actually on the verge of growth. Manufacturing. Relatively, this is one of the advanced sectors when we talk about Internet of Things. Manufacturers like Toyota, Ford, in some of their assembly lines already have devices connected to each other to keep track of the quality control, some exigencies, any minor flaw, even 2-3% deviation in the manufacturing process from the defined standards to control quality control. Not just for the outcome, but even for their machines, they are using it for predictive maintenance. That okay, the standard operating hours for equipment is 100 hours, but there is a signal this might break down at 80 hours. So before it impacts a whole assembly line, you fix that up, because the time and money you will lose for that outage is actually quite huge in comparison to what you can bring in some smart devices to monitor the performance. Other one, automotive. All the devices in Europe from Ford these days are supplied with a transponder, which collects the data, the operating conditions of the car, usage pattern of the driver, which are the components which might need early maintenance, and for future design, what are the things they can improve in different type of models. This is the real-time data they collect from the automobiles. Retail. We expected actually retail to be much advanced than what it is right now. But given that market is quite fragmented, data security issues, it is multi-channel, the advances hasn't been that great what we expected it to be. For example, we could have gone to an extent that when I make a grocery list, shopping list on my app, when I enter the store, it automatically starts guiding me where to go. To save time, which item is in which section, how to pick it, and the bill are already ready when you are about to swipe the card. But yes, this uptake is not that fast as it was expected, and there are some technology and management challenges to it, but this will be one of the areas which will gain most from IoT in times to come. Healthcare. EMR, the electronic medical records, that's the one area where has maximum data breach. The security can be improved of the data security, quality of healthcare, consistency in the services can be improved multiple times if IoT is applied to here, but it is still in very nascent stages. However, I am very confident that amount of enthusiasm or amount of investment I have seen in IoT in last 1 or 2 years, I won't be surprised if next year we meet and this will be moved to this stage. Many of the traditional companies which were into, let's say, security systems, they have started calling themselves as IoT companies. So again, I'm very confident that we are going to take some big steps in it in very short time. One of the beautiful examples is from automotive industry. Rolls-Royce Phantom or Rolls-Royce Ghost, the super luxury cars. Its suspension is connected to a satellite system and a GPS system, which it already anticipates that what is the route we are taking, what is the path ahead. According to that path, if the speed is going to get slowed down or traffic, it will change the gear automatically and tune the suspension to get accustomed to that road conditions, everything automatically, from changing gear to changing the suspension systems, anticipating based on the route you are taking. Mercedes S-Class. If the distance between two cars is less than what is required, it will not speed up, it will automatically brake. It will also sense your braking pattern. Are you braking relaxedly to just slow down, or you are braking in panic? So as I said, manufacturing and automotive, these are two industries which are making very good use of IoT in our current scenario. And this is happening right now, so I'm talking about the current scenario. There are several key elements on the technology front which would be quite crucial for success in IoT. Of course, RFIDs. The shoplifting, which is a billions of dollars for retail in US, has gone down with RFID. Sensors. Companies in UK are already working on facility management and buildings where they are using sensors to see what is the usage pattern of a facility. Let's say Accenture builds a campus with 5,000 sitting capacity. Now, campus with 5,000 people spending almost 14 hours a day needs huge energy requirements. It automatically senses what is the usage pattern, during which hour of the day, where are people moving or sitting most. It will suggest what should be the sitting pattern for the users, which team should be allocated which area of the building, so that towards the end of the day, when it is scattered, there shouldn't be energy wastage. People who work in similar fashion and pattern should be sit. Of course, it's common sense. We can also do that. But a facility manager who have hundred of things to care about might not be so accurate or diligent in doing what my automated systems will do. Then smart tech. Capturing data from these sensors, RFIDs is one thing, but making use of it needs a huge infrastructure at the back end. So we need smart technologies which can break this information for processing across the network and get some useful results. Something which I am hinting towards is big data analytics capabilities. Then nanotech. Nano sensors embedded in a device, pressure sensing, proximity sensors, anything you talk about these days. For example, the latest 6S, iPhone 6S, it has a 3D touch. What it is doing actually? It has nano sensors. Nano tech is there to make out the difference between a pinch, a push, and a swipe. Now this is something which is slightly baffling. Right now, we have approximately 6-7 billion people on Earth. But the number of devices on Earth, the connected devices, supersedes this number. In 2008, the number of connected devices, it actually crossed the number of people on the Earth. In 2020, 5 years from now, we will have 50 billion, more than almost 4 times growth in the number of devices which will be connected and talking to each other. From your wearable technology, to your smartphones, to your car, to your calendar in the Outlook box, your gas stations, your GPS, your map, everything is going to be connected. On average, every person will have around 7 connected devices. 2-3 we can imagine very easily, maybe a watch, smartphone, but then your thermostats, your security systems, your office calendar, there are n number of possibilities. All this looks very good, very promising and very exciting, but this also brings in some challenges. Massive data explosion. We are already talking about big data. That amount of data we are generating is very difficult to handle at the moment. Imagine when we start collecting the data for our connected devices, and the number of connected devices is going to be 50 billion. A signal transmitted for every moment. Multiple signals transmitted every moment by 50 billion devices. It's going to be massive amount of data. I'll briefly talk about the amount of data we are referring to here. But before that, there are countless components you will have to manage, track, control the misuse, malfunctioning, security and privacy, which is a big issue. Right now we are seeing some roles in the organizations which didn't exist 2 years back, data governance. Now all this information, personal level information, bioinformation we are capturing, who is going to guarantee the security or privacy of this information? There shouldn't be any misuse of this information. The internet protocols which we have right now, mostly we are using IP4, IP6 is there. It's still not adopted 100%, but for this level of scalability, this will not work. We would need more advanced options. The energizing these equipments, these devices, the power requirement we have. But the biggest one, which is daunting for the scientists, is the data explosion. Now, when we talk about big data right now, when we talk about some of the most advanced companies in the world like Google, Facebook, what is the scale of data we are talking about? Any guesses? Petabytes. And that's what we are calling as big data. The data where my Teradata, SQL, oracles cannot handle, I need to bring in Hadoop into it. But that is just, if you see in the scheme of Internet of Things, this is just very small amount of data. NSA, National Security Agency in US, already deals with exabytes. Forget petabytes, it's exabytes it's dealing with. When we are talking about Internet of Things, it's this much data, yottabytes and brontobytes we are talking about. I'll take a pause. Think about this for a couple of moments. It's an ocean of data. We are here. We are not talking about 2 times, 4 times, 5 times, 10 times. This is 10 raised to the 15. I'm talking about at least, if forget about brontobytes, I'm talking about million, billion times more data. Can we handle it today? Any scope? Some of our most advanced IT companies are still figuring out how to handle this amount of data, how to move from my Teradata to petabytes, and we are talking about yottabytes in next 5 years. So everything sounds very exciting when we talk about Internet of Things, but there are some daunting challenges as well, which comes in form of big data. Any questions?
Trying to think about revenue models out of a simple example like the list, the shop, the retailer being able to tell me where to go to a store to buy a certain item. Why do you think somebody would want to invest in that, or why would the money come from? Because it doesn't mean too much incrementally for a consumer. For a consumer to expect him to actually, pay more, avail this material.
Okay, I will tell you. There are actually a lot of incremental value in this. That can be actually another talk altogether in the monetization of IoT, but I'll give some examples. From consumer point of view, it makes my life easy, more secure, better health, and best usage of my time. And if you see the amount involved right now in doing, anyone who can afford Apple Watch, right? It helps to some extent. Anyone who can afford Google Glasses, it's not a big deal, but this amount, the cost which consumer is paying right now is going to be decimated over next 2 to 3 years. So the incremental value in terms of convenience and making your life easier is high from the consumer point of view in next 2 to 3 years. And from organization's point of view, the amount of marketing revenue they can have. Now I have another talk on this topic. If I take one snapshot of 2 consumers roaming on, let's say Oxford Street in London, there are at least 15 stakeholders at one point of time who can make use of IoT. Credit card company, which might have tied up with the mobile location. If there are any special offers going on, they can send a push message that on your credit card, in 100 minutes proximity, there is something special for you. Multiple retailers, taxi companies, just to begin with, right? So it is estimated that IoT can bring in $19 trillion to world economy in next 1 decade. I think whole US economy is less than $19 trillion. And If you think of IoT in places like airports, security issues, I have been already in discussion with some people who are thinking of this idea, a facial or video analytics to capture a culprit before the crime is actually committed on public places. The research is ongoing right now. So here is where Internet of Things meets big data. Earlier we used to have isolated machines, then some monitored telematics, then automations of CNC machines, more smart systems where machines, internet is talking to each other. And this is what we are talking about, Internet of Things, which hits big data. So this is the intersection where, in a way, IoT and big data are basically two sides of same coin. There are many technological challenges where scientists are not able to give a clear-cut answer. Is it Internet of Things problem or a big data? They are so closely knitted to each other, it's simply two sides of same problem or opportunity. However, data alone is not enough. We are capturing the data, but what about that? The big question comes in, even if we manage to store, transport, handle this much amount of data, what are you going to do about that? It's basically analytics which will be the answer. You need to find out the underlying correlations, trends. You need to bring in analytics to make this data come to life. If I have to predict what is going to be the health state of a 60-year-old person sitting at home based on his activity level and based on other demographics across the globe, I need to analyze their data. I need to build predictive models on that data. And with this amount of data, our conventional predictive models are not going to enough. We would need machine learning, self-learning algorithms to answer those problems. So in whole picture, in this whole game of Internet of Things, we need to take a more evolved approach, both in terms of how we handle our data and how we analyze our data. In fact, I would say it is going to be an integrated approach how we handle and analyze our data. This is the world before IoT. Limited state of devices, single purpose applications, structured, semi-structured, data transfer between sensors and actuators, something which is triggering an action. This is we have in Internet of Things. Billions of devices, evolving applications from location sensing to the healthcare to the security, endless possibilities, all forms of data, voice, click, structured, unstructured. Data streaming and processing now has to happen in real time, because the type of triggers and decisions we are talking about, they are real time. That's what I say, that we need an integrated approach now when it comes to data handling and making use of this data in terms of real-time processing and unified views with automatic triggers. Does this make sense? So when I am saying real-time processing, while the data is getting transmitted, already the algorithms are working on it to take out some trends. And the information which it has got from my thermostat along with my biostats, it needs to figure out what is going to happen, a unified view, right? After blending the information from multiple sources, then maybe a trigger, maybe a phone call or alarm to my doctor. Any questions on this?
Each person would be required to be guiding those sensors always from that's how you capture humans' data.
Yes. In fact, not just sensors on the body, but it might be sensors all around your home. For an elderly person, where the movement is restricted to home, things can be deciphered from his activity level.
The person be having to say how much this person is producing is wanting the
Correct.
person.
Correct. As I said, these are some questions which are unanswered right now. But again, there was a time people were unwilling to make online transactions because they didn't want to share their credit card number online. But all we are doing right now is online shopping. So, preferences, security systems, data governance and personal behavior will evolve over a period of time because these things start getting place in day-to-day life.
One question is, any impact on the health of the person?
I believe it should improve it. It has impact, but I believe it should improve it. People are talking about bad impact of mobile phones on health, but have we stopped using them? We are in fact increase them more. So there can be bad or good impacts, but in holistic view, I believe it will improve our healthcare system.
So when you're proposing, let's say, integrated approach to do the analytics with the data that is existing, as well as the real-time stream which is being derived from IoT. So most of the analytics algorithms use a priori knowledge or use history data. They have a lot of state-based information. Whereas when you look at data that is getting streamed, that are typically stateless. They are giving you only the current values.
Right.
So how do you mix, let us say, a stateful kind of an approach with a stateless approach in the integrated model?
Well, this question is actually not just pertaining to IoT, but I would say big data real-time analytics problem we have currently even in most of the systems. This will, any predictions, any trend analysis cannot be done without historical data. It's just that when I am building an integrated approach, in the transfer process, in the smart tech itself, for example, Hadoop uses a distributed file system, right, which makes it easy to store data at multiple nodes and process it parallelly. So an approach where historical data is there, current data is coming in, based on which we are predicting future would be required. However, that's what I said, our current algorithms, the traditional predictive algorithms will not work. We would need to bring in machine learning, support vector machines, neural networks, where the historical data is being used, yes, but the algorithm itself keeps evolving with every day, with every week, with every change in the pattern. So, exact answer, even I don't have at the moment, but yes, somewhere how I envision it, it's going to be a distributed system where we have multiple nodes for storage and parallel processing, where my algorithms are not static, they are self-learning, they're machine learning based. Okay. But at end of the day, big problems, big data means big opportunities. The number of vehicles which would be connected by 2016, like 1 year from now, is going to be 23.6 million versus 8.7 million which we have currently. The growth rate of IoT or connected devices is going on at the rate of 30% right now. As I said, manufacturing is the best example where we talk about Internet of Things. The biggest problem in medical right now, and it's the number 2 domain where you have maximum data breach, it's very tight security, electronic medical records which cannot be breached or stolen. Shoppers shop from multiple channels these days, which is the reality currently we have. But with more integrated approach, Internet of Things, multiple devices, we can have a holistic view of what a given consumer is doing, whether offline, online, in retail, or through e-commerce. Let's take a very simple scenario. This is not a very advanced scenario, but a simple scenario which most of the working professionals can connect to. Eventually, it might start from simple personalized approach to your smart homes, leading to smart cities, and eventually the smart factories. At a personal level, how can Internet of Things can change my life? I have a alarm clock, which might be actually in my phone. This is connected to my meeting calendar, which again these days is on phone. My car, which is connected to GPS, and my clock and calendar knows that today I need to fill gas in my car because it's empty now. Then my GPS also keeps track the real-time traffic information. It tracks what are the traffic conditions or any detour which person might have to take. Train schedule which is available on internet with monthly pass is integrated into my calendar and alarm clock, right? And these two things are also integrated to my personal belongings like car and my coffee machine. What is happening there? You got a rejection or your mail invite, it got pushed by 45 minutes. This time it had accounted that you need to fill 5 minutes. You need 5 minutes to fill in the gas. Your map senses based on the real-time traffic that there is an accident on the route, you would need 15 minutes detour. Train is running 20 minutes late on top of it. It calculates all that. It senses that, okay, I can have 5 minutes of extra sleep. Now this might sound like a silly example, but believe me, 5 minutes of extra sleep means a lot for us. What I am using here is a very simple personalized example where things are talking to each other and it is impacting me in my day-to-day life at each step, and we may not even realize it, right? And it sends a signal to my car when to start so that it can melt the ice which got accumulated overnight in stormy weather. From your car to coffee machine to your internet calendar to your GPS, everything is talking to each other and making your day better and simple. A very simple example. But the real potential lies from designing of your cities for traffic management, smart environment for better facility management and energy consumption, agriculture. I'll give one example in agriculture. Have you heard about this company John Deere? Right. They already have POCs running in Canada where generally farm sizes are in like really huge, hundreds of acres, where tractors are robotically operated. Every morning, based on that time, tractor activates, go to the field, do the plowing automatically, GPS tracking your farm movement and the tractor movement without you getting up early in the morning, start the tractor in cold, chilly weather and do the things manually. This is happening real time, automatically now while we are talking. Then retail, from security to surveillance, and automotives, of course. McKinsey estimates that with proper use of IoT, the accidental insurance claim industry can save $100 billion. If we have the cars which are more safer, drive better, steer better, takes the control when human has panicked, the amount of accidents will reduce and the damage, the life damage or anything which may happen as an outcome will also reduce. There are cars, as I told you, when it senses a crash, it grips the person and turns the seat to the minimal impact direction. It's not a James Bond movie, it's a real car. Any questions? Or yes.
Who is governing this whole ecosystem? Where is the people or where is the board or where is the organization which is governing all this?
Very good question. As of now, no one. But I'll tell you how it has evolved. It started as, you know, in isolations. Some group of people, some scientists in universities, companies, they started developing it. But now in bits and pieces, from 2013 onward, there are some IoT congresses which are happening, meets which are happening, and they have started passing resolution. So, if you really ask me who controls the internet, no one controls the internet. But yes, there are some governing bodies and guidelines which keeps checks and balances. Before IoT becomes mainstream, it is expected that we will have some governing bodies or academicians, industry leaders will be taking charge of it. For example, Oracle is involved in IoT, SAS is involved in IoT, Nest, there is the US biggest security manufacturing company, ADT, Florida based, they are involved in IoT. So those groups, forums have started shaping up since 2013 onward. If you search internet, you will find some resolutions which have been passed in last 1 or 2 years. And at the end of the day, there will have to be a governing body, because you will need similar protocols which can access wide range of technology through same connection or network. So as the number of devices is, the fortunate thing is we are going to see a sudden boom, and when there is a boom, there is lots of money which will attract lots of organization and governments. For example, UK government has basically formulated a body now which has started looking into IoT things. They have they started experimenting way back in 2013 for better facility management, crisis management. If there is a terrorist attack, there is an earthquake, how do you track that in a large building in which nooks and corners you have people, what is a closer evacuation plan? They're applying IoT there. There are GPS sensors which don't only locate your 2x2 location on the map, but which floor you are at. So yes, as of now, no one body, but there are few mushrooming up, and we will see some convergence in times to come. Any other questions?
In the current exchange, whatever is available, etc., they don't follow any similar
No, they do.
standard.
They do.
Or they do.
They do. For example, IEEE, which is an internet engineering body, they have some, on the technology front, they have some protocols which allow these devices to talk and connect to each other. They are there. Okay?
So are there any implementations right now for IoT full threads?
Yes, concept of smartphones fully automated and integrated homes, people have started coming up. Integrated security systems, automobiles. Some of the best examples as I talk about, Nest, smart watches, automobiles, latest cars. But yes, if you talk about a complete integration of whole this environment, it's happening as a POC right now, proof of concept. Because if you come and tell me that you are going to completely integrate and automate my security system at home, I am not going to take it right now, right? So it's POC which is happening right now most of the times.
See, you are talking about the retail sector. We hear things about things like augmented reality, which will enable you as you walk inside, what are offers and things like that. Okay. So is it a part of IoT, or
It is.
there are some missing components?
It is. It is. I'll give you an example, and this is real-time example. In Korea, there is a retail chain. I can't really recall the name of that chain. They have, how they started actually, 6-7 years back, what they started doing, people mostly commute in metro cities by tubes and your metros. On each of the tube stations, they used to have a huge panels where you can just touch what do you want. It is integrated with your phone app, what time of the day and everything. The products used to get delivered, you were utilizing your commuting time or waiting time to get things ordered. Now what they have started as a step beyond that, your refrigerator might make your shopping list. you might finalize your shopping list. When you're moving into the stores, integrated RFIDs, floor map, it is going to actually guide you where to go. And also, right now it's not augmented reality they are pushing, but they are sending push offers. There is something it's on your list or something related to what is on your list is there, it will guide you, there is a special offer going on. It's part of IoT, and we might soon we might see a integrated augmented reality along with this IoT. Right. Okay. Yeah. Difficult question. All over from there. Like 2 weeks back, I actually had a discussion with an investor who is an evangelist on an IoT. I think all the development which is going on IoT in India is less on the hardware and the sensor side. It's happening it's happening on this side. So there are some smart startups, rather than calling themselves as analytics or big data startups, their key focus is IoT, Internet of Things. So it's this area which they are focusing on. They might not be on the tech forward sensors or devices or automobiles, but yes, trust me, we Indians will have strong contribution to IoT, because some of the governing bodies I was mentioning, some of the prominent figures are actually of Indian origin in those universities. Even this MIT or Auto ID Center, one of the key person involved there is an Indian.
See, when we talk about devices like sensors, there are innumerous brands. There could be more than 500 brands or anything. So how do we interface all these different type of sensors? Should these companies be having this kind of framework?
Look, as I said, to a great extent, for example, if I talk about the automation of my home lighting, there are standard protocols available. And for example, Internet Protocol V6, which we are not using, it's there. All these advanced sensors, when they're transmitting data to the internet, they are following a standard protocol. So on the hardware and networking side, I don't see we have a lot to worry, because the development which has already happened on this front till now, it is converging towards standardization. The worries are going to be managing the volume in terms of hardware volume, the volume of data, and data security and governance. I haven't seen, so all the research I have done in this area, we haven't come across an issue where this is a problem. Of course, this is a factor which has to be taken care of, and people have to converge across standardization of technology. One of the things in this case is flexibility. Thousands of, hundreds of sensors at one go can go off the grid, go offline, right? Different type of sensors through different type of networks need complex accesses. So all that is going well right now. Okay. Any more questions? I'll give you one nice example of Internet of Things. It's not really related to devices, but what you have on this cartoon strip. Do you know what is this called? There is a term which companies are using for this now. Any guesses? Contextual search. If I am reading a news where there is a murder or robbery which has taken place, right? And on my screen or on my advertisement I see a holiday package they are offering, right? That is going to be a sheer wastage of your resources and customer targeting. But based on the context and your mood, what they are going to offer: security system, fire alarms. That's what is this talking about. Okay, I think we still have some time, 5 more minutes. Please feel free to fire whatever questions you may have. Maybe I don't have any real examples, practically my first-hand examples, but some possible use I can see is in the marketing and advertisement based on the location and the brand. Let's say if they know what you are interested in buying, where are you traveling to, and there is something around that. So customer targeting, they can use it. One of the examples which comes to my mind. Okay, sorry, 2 minutes left, not 5 minutes. Something even I was thinking about. I think I might be the laziest among them. Yes. Look, every technology, every facility we have already seen, there are pros and cons. And the impact it is going to have on the health of generations to come, activity level of generations to come, is going to be there. For example, our ancestors never really required gyms. Now you see there are gyms all around because the lifestyle has changed the pattern. Yes, they are also changing the pattern. Yes. But I would actually like to see this in a positive way. How I would see this, that rather than making everyone so technology dependent, making them lazy, maybe it might free up their time. It might free up their time, and at end of the day, people do what they really want to. Someone who has to be lazy will be lazy without technology also, and someone who has to be active will get more time to roam around, to exercise, to do stuff. So it's positive frame of mind I would suggest you to have. Yes. Any other questions? Yes.
So enabling IoT to have control of the traffic system perceivable.
It is perceivable. For example, in Shanghai, all the bus movement is actually tracked real time, even meter to meter. The buses there have dual mode. Your conventional fuel, and they are connected to electric wires. Right? So, let's say synchronizing their movement, timing at different situations terms, there is a technical fault in one bus which might halt the traffic or rerouting anything. Everything can be done with the help of IoT. And I'll give you an interesting perspective on this. Maybe Chinese people are so smart, they're already thinking about it. You won't believe, in Shanghai, and I'm talking about 2010, I visited Shanghai in 2010, and 2010 they had detailed energy requirement of each and every building in Shanghai, which was yet to be built in next 15 years. Because what they want to do, they want to make a smart city. Their traffic, crisis management, right, tax recovery, security, everything is in automated fashion. So it's just our imagination. There is no end to the possibilities. If you are thinking or I am thinking, we can make it happen. Okay, any other questions? Otherwise, I think we are good to wrap up.
So what kind of opportunities IoT will provide for entrepreneurs?
Depends where your interest lies. Sensors, manufacturing, softwares, data systems, service solution providers, consulting, targeted marketing, internet company which is just handling the contextual search. Again, every sphere of life. All right. Okay, hope you enjoyed the talk. Thanks for your patience.